Hello everyone, Paul Martin here, and this is the situation for April 3rd, 2020. Thank you so much for watching. This has been obviously a very busy week from a news perspective. We continue to get more news and feel the effects of this national emergency, this pandemic that we are facing right now. I wanted to spend a few minutes giving you some ideas since we're all locked down, everyone's at home. What are some things that we can be doing moving forward, getting ready for the next several weeks, for the next few months, and the fall when we may very well have a second wave come to the United States. So let's talk about those things and some ideas that you can do this weekend while everyone's locked up in the house, and maybe next weekend as well, to help you get better prepared. But first, paultmartin.com. Click on that COVID-19 link if you have questions. There's some PowerPoint information there you can download. I believe there's a YouTube video there as well. Also, click on the Ready Citizen tab. This is the main document, the main project I've been working on off and on for coming up on almost a year now. This is a guide that will help get you prepared in as little as a weekend. There's a PowerPoint there. There's a 50-page PDF document that will help you. There's a food planning spreadsheet. All of it's absolutely free. Check it out. You may find there's some information there that will help you get ready to move forward in the coming weeks and months. And thanks to Carl Wren, we have a number of videos available, and I really appreciate those of you who have taken advantage of this offer and have gotten signed up for it. These are the videos from the 2018 Preparedness Conference that he and I put on. You can watch all of it. It's about 6 or 7 hours. I keep getting the hour wrong. Carl keeps telling me how many hours it is. I thought it was 12. It's more like 6. But at any rate, you can go to the website. There's a trailer there. You can get a sample of what we're doing. You can buy a subscription for all of it. You can rent it for just for a year, or you can buy the videos a la carte. So take a look at that. There may be some information there that will help you. And as always, 100% of the profits I receive from this goes to benefit Austin Pets Alive. That's a no-kill animal shelter here in Austin. I'm not making any money from this. I just want to get the information out there in the event that it helps someone get better prepared quickly and efficiently. Let's talk about the news from the last 48 hours. We now have a first prediction for the hurricane season of 2020. It is not good. It is going to be an above average season, according to scientists at Colorado State University. We're expecting 16 named storms and a 69% chance that a major storm will make landfall somewhere on the continental United States. Just because we have a pandemic doesn't mean Mother Nature gives us a break in other perils. This is something we're going to need to be ready for, particularly those of you who live along the coasts. With regards to masks, we've had some news come out today, late this afternoon. The CDC now recommends that we wear masks in public. You will recall this is the same CDC who told us weeks ago that you don't need a mask because they don't work. And now they're telling you, oh, you need to wear a mask when you're in public. This will obviously and undoubtedly be a point of contention years from now, months from now perhaps even, when we are debriefing all that happened. I think the CDC has done what they can well under the circumstances, but this issue of mask, this has been a big problem point for them, the inconsistent messaging about what it is they want people to do with masks. In fact, the city of Laredo, Texas, earlier this week will now fine people $1,000 if they are out in public and they are not wearing a mask. So I suspect more cities will do these things, measures like this moving forward. Financial news. Go to any news aggregator website. You'll hear of waves of mortgage defaults are coming. As many as 30% of loans could be defaulted on in the coming months. Unemployment numbers continue to rise at a staggering rate. And if you look at, for those of you in the preparedness community who track on precious metals, gold and silver, there's a big difference between the spot price of the metal and the actual coin itself, or the actual piece of metal itself holding physical metal. Sometimes it's being traded at a 30% premium. That's really phenomenal when you think about it. So for those of you who do not invest in gold and silver, you think, I don't care about that, I encourage you to monitor this nonetheless, because it is a good benchmark that gives us some idea of what's happening in the economy. As you see those precious metal numbers move up, That means that that's more money going into precious metal safe haven investments as opposed to a traditional stock or bond, which more people would have in their 401ks or in their pension funds, things like that. So that's always a good measure to give us an idea of what's going on with the economy, and I encourage you to track that moving forward. A little perspective, I think, is important here. I want you to look at a couple things here. I'm going to turn the camera off just for a second, if I can do this. No, apparently not. Oh well. Look at these perils, things that have happened. You know, we talk about our grandparents and how they survived two world wars. They survived the Great Depression. We need to be more like them, and there's some truth to that. But look at what we've dealt with since just the year 2000. We've been through Y2K, we've been through the dot-com crash, we've been through 9/11, we've been through multiple hurricanes that have done tremendous damage to cities along the coast. We've had wildfires here in Texas as well as in California. We've had flooding all across the United States. We've endured a financial crisis, and now we are involved in what will probably be this century's pandemic. We've been through a lot, and we've bounced back from a lot. Take stock in this, and take stock in the fact that we've recovered from all those things. We're going to recover from this as well. There's no doubt in my mind we are going to get through this. And if you have to tell yourself every day when you wake up, we are going to get through this, then do that. But it may be difficult, quite candidly, for the next several months, maybe longer. But we're going to get through this. What are some things that we can do moving forward that puts us in a better position for that? That's what I really want to focus on. And that my video from a couple nights ago, that's what that video was, getting ready for the next 5 months. I want to spend some time talking about what we can be doing just this month to get ready moving forward. But first, let's talk about some lessons that we've learned, or that we should have learned, from all those events that we just described. I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. I was listening to a video presentation from him, some of his clips on YouTube, and he says, you know, I rarely agree with Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff's a perma-bear economist guy, financial guy. He's always saying the sky's going to fall and the world's going to come to an end. Big gold and silver investor. He says, I rarely agree with Peter Schiff. He says, but I do agree with something he put on Twitter. And I couldn't find the actual tweet, but this was a substance of it, and that is, when we have a lot of debt, every crisis is a financial crisis. I was amazed. I was having this conversation with someone today. You know, the Cheesecake Factory, the restaurant, announced 2 or 3 weeks ago that they were not going to be able to pay their rent in April for all of their restaurants. When you think of an operation like the Cheesecake Factory, where they give you a pager when you walk in and you have to wait for dinner on a weekend, 30, 45 minutes plus, a place that's doing that much business, that much volume, and they don't have the money to pay the rent a month away, a company that size. And I don't know what Cheesecake Factory's financials are, but I found that really amazing that they were 1 month out from not being able to pay their rent. When we have a lot of debt, everything is a financial crisis. And what I'm hoping is one of the lessons that we all learn from this, not just from a personal basis, but for corporations as well, is that we need to start planning for those scenarios where things go wrong and we have to be financially viable for a period of time. And I know that's a challenge for so many families and so many people right now for a whole host of reasons. As a nation, we've got to reboot our thinking and come up with some solutions to this, because this is not sustainable. And I think we all would agree on that. It is not sustainable for people to have so much debt, for people to only have a few $100s in times of emergency. We got to rethink how we do this. And I know that's a really complex problem, and it deals with a lot of different public policy issues, but that's one of the things we need to think about moving forward. Another thing we've learned is about disaster aid, both tangible and intangible. It is very slow to arrive when it comes from the government. It's just so much red tape. There's an article I read yesterday from the Washington Post talking about the fact that food banks are having trouble getting food to people because they're required to ask them all these questions about their income and how many people live in your house, whatever. It's a pandemic. Just get them the food. Don't worry about asking them the questions. We don't need that kind of regulation right now. Arguably, we don't need that regulation at all. But this is what happens when we rely on government agencies to set rules for us on dealing with disasters. It's slow. It's expensive to deliver disaster aid. We've seen that play out time and time again. That's a lesson we all need to learn to help us plan better for the future on an individual basis. Government is ill prepared to help. The ventilators, remember we had President Trump say we've got all these ventilators, we've got 10,000 ventilators or whatever the number is in storage. There's an article, and I'm going to post the article talking about ventilators and masks. It's from the LA Times. I'll post it in the link below. A lot of those, 2,000 of those ventilators don't even work because we've not been doing preventative maintenance on those. Now think about that. We've got all these ventilators set aside in case of emergency. Nobody's maintaining them. And now they don't work and people need those, and we're having to go back and spend precious time when those ventilators could be used somewhere fixing those. Same thing with the masks. In the same article, it will talk about the fact that we had that pandemic in 2009, H1N1, and a study came out and requested that the Obama administration replenish all those masks used in that pandemic. Never done. That's one of the reasons why our first responders and our hospital folks are scrambling for PPE, was because we never replenished it from the last disaster, the last pandemic. We have to start thinking about having some things set aside, some resources set aside to deal with this moving forward. Because go back and look. I mean, let's just go back. Great thing about being the PowerPoint driver is I can move the PowerPoint wherever I want. I say that now the PowerPoint won't go back. I can only go forward. Oh well. You saw that list of things, that all those disasters, all that money we spent after 9/11 for pandemics because there was going to be a bioweapons attack because somebody had weaponized smallpox or Ebola or whatever the boogeyman was. Anthrax, remember that? We were all terrified of anthrax. Well, what the hell did all that money go for? I mean, where's the pandemic planning for that? Where are the resources that we spent all that money for? Where is that now? I mean, we need to be thinking about this. And if you think, and it's not just people, it's corporations as well. There's always this mantra that, well, we'll just go to Congress and we'll get a bailout, or we'll get the nebulous they will figure out a way to fix it. Folks, no one's coming to save you, as is often repeated in the preparedness community. Got to be your own first responder. That's one of the lessons we continue to be reminded of. The government's ill prepared to help you, to help us. It just is, and we need to be in a better spot to take care of ourselves. Finally, people who prepare for one peril, flood, tornado, cyber attack, earthquake, whatever it is, if you're prepared for one event, you're prepared for a whole host of them. I was talking on a podcast a couple weeks ago about the fact that so many people vapor lock when they start talking about preparing for a pandemic or preparing for a cyber attack, because it's just the prospect of that terrifies people and they cannot process it. When you start using severe weather, as a severe thunderstorm, as a proxy for other things that can go wrong, other bad events, people are a lot easier it's a lot easier for a lot of people to think about and start making progress on their preparedness efforts. So when you're prepared for one thing, you're prepared for a whole host of things. And I think that's an important thing for us to remember. All right, let's talk about a few weekend projects you can do in the next month or so. You're locked home with your family. What can you do to get better prepared? What are some ways you can get your family involved in this? I'm going to outline some ideas that you can talk about moving forward. As I silence my phone, I should have done this before, and I didn't do it. That's Jared Colwell. Jared, you get the award. You texted me during my presentation. All right. Clean out your closets, garage, storage units. Folks, you got stuff in there you don't need. You've got stuff in there you can donate for a tax write-off. You've got stuff in those places you can sell. Get those things cleaned out. Make your kids do it. If you've got a storage unit you're paying rent on, to the extent that you can either downsize to a smaller unit or get rid of the storage unit, you're going to save money. I've tried to come up with a lot of ideas that either save you money or cost you nothing. This is one of those things. You may be able to find those golf clubs you don't use anymore. I've got a pair of golf clubs. I'm thinking I need to sell those because I took some golf lessons, and golf and me, not going to happen. I'm not there. I can't do it. It's not in me to do it. I tried. I gave it a good run. It's not me. What can you get rid of? What can you donate to help somebody else? What can you sell to put money in your pocket? What storage units can you close out to say put money in your pocket? that's something you can work on this weekend. Preventive maintenance on your auto and your home. If you change your own oil, that's something you can do. That's something I'm going to be doing the next week or so. That's the great thing about having a Jeep with a lift kit on it, is that I can get underneath the Jeep and change my own oil. But Rain-X, your excuse me, your windshields, fill up your washer fluids, check your tires, clean your gutters, do some AC maintenance on your AC system at home. Lots of things you can do around the house to check and make sure everything's working okay at your house and to prevent a problem moving forward. This is not a good time, as people are figuring out, to have a toothache or to have an AC system go down on them or have problems with their house or their car. Take these opportunities while you're stuck at home and while nothing's going on because everything's been canceled. Get some of this stuff done, because as we talked about in the last video, we may have a second wave come in September or October of this year. We need to get stuff done now so that we're in a better position to manage that coming forward. Inventory your current food supply, your meds, your consumables. If you want to do a spreadsheet, that's fine, but have some idea of how much food you have. Have so much idea, and not just how much food you have, but what types of food you have. Do you have too much canned meat? Do you have too much pasta and not enough cereal, or not enough frozen fruit, or whatever? I don't know. You know what your situation is. Figure it out. Do an inventory, figure out what it is you need, so that when you start your planning moving forward in the next few weeks, and you get back to the grocery store, and hopefully some of these restrictions will lift and we can get back to a semi, if not completely normal life. This is an opportunity for you to figure out where you are deficient in your plans and in your inventory. Get that figured out now. Again, cost you absolutely nothing to do to come up with this inventory. Other things, review your family's emergency plans. What if someone has a sudden onset of an infection? Someone comes home or someone is not feeling well, and you think maybe they've got COVID-19, the coronavirus. What's your plan to deal with that, to get them into their own room and come up with a plan to start treating them? What's the plan for home invasion? You know, there's lots of talk that, well, we're going to have more home invasions as the unemployment rate goes up. As I mentioned in the last video, there's, that's a double-edged sword. It's not always true. There's some data indicate that crime rates actually go down in times of high unemployment. But nonetheless, it is something we need to be mindful of. What is the plan in case you're at home and someone kicks in your front door? What do you want your team to do? Figure that out. What if you have a fire in the kitchen? We're all cooking from home. A lot of us are cooking from home more. Have a plan for that. Do some preventative maintenance on your fire extinguishers. And by that I mean, check the little gauge, make sure that it says it's charged. Turn the fire extinguisher upside down, tap it on the bottom. It sounds a lot like sand. You'll hear that grit slide down. That's the material that comes out that puts out the fire. A lot of times if it sits upright for too long, it gets caked in the bottom. It's a great idea every so often, every few months, turn it upside down, tap it several times. If you listen to it close enough, you'll actually hear that material slide down. That's a good sign. That means that material is loose, it's right, it's ready to go when you squeeze the handle. I'll link to a class, a Stop the Bleed class online. Obviously, you should do this in person when you can, but there is some good training online in case you need to learn how to do Stop the Bleed. It's a 4-minute video. Your kids can do it. It's a great video. It's a great program. Take a few minutes, learn how to do that. Fire drills. What happens when the house catches on fire? Where do you want people to go? Have you done that drill lately? Have you done the drill now that the kids are living in different rooms because they've gotten older since the last time you did it? Have you done it because since you moved to a new house? Start thinking your way through this. What do you want the kids to do, and what do you want to do if the house catches on fire? Severe weather. What's the severe weather drill for your house? Where do you want people to go? What do you want them to do? Where are the flashlights? Start running these drills. And when Delaney was little, one of the things we would do is we would all take turns and we'd blindfold ourselves and run drills and have to find our way out of the house during fire drill, or find our way to a safe space during a severe weather drill blindfolded. Lots of things you can do to entertain your kids. It's great for the kids. It's entertaining for them. They think it's fun. It's also a great tool to train them as well. So you're cooped up in the house, you might as well put all this time where you're looking for something to do, put it to work. Call your insurance agent. Have an insurance checkup. You can do that over the phone. I promise you, I do this almost once a year. I have yet to have an insurance checkup where I did not save money. My insurance agent invariably finds a discount that applies, or something we should be doing, coverage we don't need anymore that we take off. make sure that you're having these conversations with your insurance agent. Make sure you've got the right coverages. Again, I find it saves us money every single time we've done it. I highly recommend you do it as well. Do a home inventory, figure out what you've got, take good notes in case there's a fire or wind damage or, God forbid, a theft. Great opportunity for you to do that. Enlist your kids, tell them, here's a notepad, go take an inventory. Take your smartphone, record it, save the video somewhere. Lots of different ways you can do this. You gun people, oil and clean your guns. I'm always amazed when I see somebody say, well, things are getting bad, better go home and clean the guns. If your guns aren't cleaned and oiled right now, you are failing. Keep your guns, the ones you use for self-defense, oiled and cleaned at all times. While you're at it, make sure those guns are secured properly and that they are stored properly so that unauthorized people cannot get to them. That is Texas law. You need to do that. Be thinking about if you got grandkids coming over or other people coming over who you don't want wandering through your house, maybe finding your guns, your housekeeper, your exterminator, whoever. You need to start thinking about how to secure your guns. I really like the products from V-Line, letter V, L-I-N-E. I use a number of those products in the house. Big fan of that. Check those products out. They don't require batteries. They're all mechanical, which means when the boogaloo, whatever the big event's going to happen that we're all like freaking out and everything's bad, those devices are still going to work because they don't run on batteries. They don't require electricity. So check that product out. If dry firing, I was doing really well starting January. That was one of my goals this year, was doing more dry firing. I was doing really well. Pandemic set in. My life got turned upside down for my day job, because my day job, when things are bad, my day job is very busy. I've been really busy the last couple of weeks with work. So I kind of got off derail from that, but that's something I need to work on. If you've got old holsters and peripheral stuff for your firearm collection that you're not using, get rid of it. I took a whole bag of stuff to Carl Wren at KR Training and handed it to him, stuff I wasn't using anymore, stuff that was obsolete, because I didn't know any better at the time. I was new to the gun community, and I said, here, don't judge, but you're welcome to use any and all this stuff as what not to buy or not to use. So I gave that to him. You may find a way that some of that stuff you may want to sell online. What's your decon protocol? Right now, basically every night, I use a Clorox wipe or a variant of Clorox wipe, and I touch all the high traffic areas, the doorknobs, the faucets, the light switches, all those things. I try to keep us healthy by being very diligent about making sure that the common surfaces that we all touch on a daily basis get wiped down. Come up with a plan for you to do that moving forward as well. If you don't have bleach wipes, CDC is recommending that for coronavirus, that if you mix 1 gallon of water with a third of a cup of bleach, that is a formula that will be sufficient to kill the virus. So think about that if you don't have access to bleach wipes. Finally, volunteer, donate blood, deliver food and supplies. I've got friends that are already doing that. And by the way, people are like, oh, you shouldn't do that because social distancing. My food bank here in Austin has figured out a way to do food boxing while being compliant with all social distancing requirements. These organizations have figured it out. There are lots of ways you can still help and maintain social distancing and maintain that you don't have to do things that put you in contact with people. Lots of opportunities there for you to get involved. In fact, one of your best tools for that is this thing right here. Friends, family members that don't have a lot of contacts, maybe they're living alone or whatever, call them, text them, reach out to them, check on them, let them know that you're thinking of them, see if there's anything you can do for them. It means so much to so many when we do that. So lots of things you can do to make your community better in this time, this national emergency. Remember that list I put up when I talked about here are all the things we've survived? Yeah, this may be the biggest one of all on that list when all is said and done. And our generation will have gotten through it. And we will be able to take pride in that. And I hope and I pray that we learn and that we come out as better people, we come out as a better nation, we come out as better Americans and citizens as a result of that. So I want to thank you for watching as always. Be sure to check out the website. Hopefully there's some new information up there in the coming days that will be of benefit to you. As always, I appreciate it. God bless America.